I think we're good.
Good?
Yeah.
I think so.
Let's look in the back and see.
Let's see. Planted by you right now.
Yeah, you will. No. You need to, Brent, you need to be behind Dawn.
What does that mean? I'm short?
No.
Oh, there's a blank spot.
You're up, Zach.
Hi, Zach.
How's it going? Morgan, if you want to get on this side.
Right next to Doug?
Right next to Doug.
Oh, yeah.
You want to get in front of Doug, and Doug, if you want to get in that window.
Well, hi, folks. I thank everybody for coming out today. We're really privileged today to have Speaker of the U.S. House, Kevin McCarthy, here with us to join us here at the Sainer Farm well pad to take a look at what Ohio is doing to meet America's energy needs. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the introduction because I think his reputation precedes him, but I can tell you this, I haven't worked with anybody in the House that understands more about the need for America to return to energy independence than Kevin McCarthy. If you look at every session of Congress, the first bill that they put out, H.R. 1, is kind of a planting the flag in the ground, determining what is really a priority, the priority issue of the day. H.R. 1 in the U.S. House here in this session of Congress was the energy bill. And energy from permitting reforms, production reforms, pushing America back toward energy independence. Nobody understands that better than our Speaker. So without further ado, let me introduce the Speaker of the U.S. House, my friend and colleague, Kevin McCarthy.
Well, thank you, Bill. And I first want to thank Bill for the work he does. You know, he serves on Energy and Commerce. This is the committee that deals with the majority of our energy policy. You know, yesterday I heard the president give a big speech about Bidenomics. You know, the core of good economics for America is to become energy independent. What's it mean to be energy independent? It lowers the price. It lowers inflation. It lets Americans keep more money in their pocket. But it also means jobs. I look to the men and women behind me. These are good paying jobs. But it makes America stronger, and it makes the world a safer place. And environmentally, it makes us more sound. When you look at what's produced out of these fields, the oil and the gas, if we simply replenish and change just Russia natural gas in Europe for 1 year, if we replaced it with American natural gas, we would cut 218 million tons of CO2 emissions. Our natural gas is 41% cleaner than theirs. So not only would Europe be safer politically, the world would be environmentally safer. I watched the way, you could applaud that, that's important. I like that. Who's ever starting? But what is happening, I happen to be from California. We have the ability in my county to produce a lot of oil. This is the difference between Ohio and California and who's looking out for America. In California, they've reduced production by 20%. Not because we don't have the oil and gas to produce, but because the governor is shutting down the permitting to allow us to continue to produce. So that's 80,000 barrels a day that California doesn't produce. Do we use 80,000 barrels less? No. So you know what Gavin Newsom does? He's been buying 50,000 barrels a day from Putin, who uses that money to go kill innocent people in Ukraine. What does Ohio do? They discover new fields, safe, secure, environmentally sound, produce new oil and natural gas by Americans, for Americans. The steel all produced in Ohio, producing more American jobs, making America stronger, Ohio stronger. This is the difference of good politics, of good policy. God has blessed America with resources. If we have the ability to produce those resources, America will be stronger and the world will be safer. We shouldn't just think of the natural gas that God has blessed us with, not just to make America energy independent, because it's so abundant, we should sell it to our allies and our adversaries. How much safer would the world be if China was dependent on American natural gas? We'd be environmentally better, we'd be economically stronger, and the world would be a safer place to live. So for those who are working out here, for those who are drilling the rigs, welding the pipe, and producing the oil and natural gas, for America, I thank you. It's a tough job. But I want you to know, as policymakers, we appreciate the work you do, and we're going to make it easier for you to do your job. You know, we just passed this bill regarding the debt ceiling, and something you need to know that's in it. There is a natural gas pipeline that had to go to the Supreme Court 3 times. 92% almost done. We finished it. A lot of natural gas from Ohio is going to go into that pipeline, and also from Pennsylvania, to go to Americans' home to lower their costs. We also have in there environmental review reform. NEPA hasn't been reformed in 40 years. Don't you get frustrated when you want to produce something but the red tape lasts for years and years? We narrowed it so it can only be 1 or 2 years to study it, because we want America to reach all of its potential. America's too great of a nation not to. And all Americans will benefit from that. So that's just a few of the things we're able to do. And one of the individuals that helped us achieve this goal is another member, not just Bill Johnson, but Dave Joyce. Dave Joyce represents an important part of Ohio. He sits on the Appropriations Committee that oversees a critical part of making sure we're energy independent. Let me bring Dave Joyce up. Thank you, sir.
First off, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for coming here to the great state of Ohio. It's lovely, and just to make it feel at home, we brought some smoke for like the wildfires you have home in California. But seriously, and Bill, thank you for all you do and allowing us, setting us up and allowing the hospitality for us to be here. I'm just north of here. One of the things I fight for all the time is I think it would look beautiful is a pipeline running right up Route 11 to Lake Erie, where we could sell this to our liquefied natural gas to Europe. And guess what? We might only do it for 6, 7, 8 months a year. But if we could cut the use of their Russian energy over there with good, solid American energy, guess what? That means jobs. That means more independence for us, because energy security is national security. And it's time we focus on it just like that. Thank you. In just 2019, we were energy independent. Look at what's happened over the last few years. I know when I come home, I hear from my constituents, gas is over $4 a gallon. Imagine that poor guy. He goes home, it's over $6 a gallon when he gets to California. So I can imagine what it's like. Probably hear from Miss Judy too as well. But the important part is we have the ability to do it. We have the wherewithal to do it. And as we see what's taking place right now with the semiconductors that we're going to bring back here, they need the energy to produce. Where are they going to get that? Here. What makes us an area that everybody wants to come back to? We have the water, we have the resources, we have the people. We just need to get the job done. And the people up here are all working to make, we believe that things made in America are made better by good old American Yankee ingenuity. And another very important member of our delegation who, when he was here in the great State House, he led the oil and gas industry's efforts. And now that he's in Congress, he's been very consistent on that same message. A dear friend, Troy Balderson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Dave. And Bill, thank you for having us here. And Speaker, I said it last night, you all need to know this. Ohio is so important to this speaker. He's been here 4 out of the 5 days for his first round. So Kevin, Speaker, we really appreciate you being here in Ohio. As Dave said, I can't thank all of you. Jackie, as usual, great performance. But as Dave said, I had the opportunity in 2010, and my dear friend is out there, Mr. Craig Butler, who now is also working this and educated me a lot about what's happening. And Dave brought up those data centers that's happening in Central Ohio where we are. And part of the reason they are coming to the great state of Ohio and in Central Ohio is because of land, water, and energy. We even have crypto mining in Coshocton County because we have the energy for it. So thank you to all of you that do this. We're proud of you. We're forever grateful for what you do for this great country, and continue the good work here, and we'll continue the good work in Washington. Thank you. I've only seen Max a couple of times. Now it's time to introduce my new colleague and friend, Max Meller from Cleveland, and it's been an honor to work with Max, and it's a lot of fun.
Thank you, Troy. Appreciate it. Well, I'm the new guy, so people forget to, it happens every now and then. And I know it looks like I just graduated high school a couple weeks ago, but I promise I'm 34. But what I want to tell everyone here is thank you to all of our hosts, and thank you all for being here. And look at the delegation that you have behind me, and the Speaker of the House is here. This is all about prosperity of our nation. In the Marine Corps, they said the infantry is the backbone of the Marine Corps. Well, every man and woman that is here is the backbone of our nation. This is just the beginning of what we're going to do when it comes to oil and natural gas and getting us back to be energy independent. Look at we codified the NEPA reforms in the budget, and that was all due to the negotiations that Speaker McCarthy handled and successfully achieved for every American throughout this country. It's going to lower energy prices across the board. That is the attitude that we need within this country, and this is just the beginning of getting back on track to an energy independent America, where we are then, as the Speaker had said, selling our natural gas and oil to the Chinese, getting them to capitulate to us and not the other way around. I'm excited to be here, and it's my honor. I believe you're up next, Bill? I don't want to screw this one up because this is your congressman. And I have to tell you, you come in and you're young and you get great people behind you who bring you along. And you have a great congressman in Bill Johnson who has done a heck of a job for this area and continues to fight hard for every constituent every single day that he's out there, whether it's in DC or it's back home in the district. It's my honor to introduce Congressman Johnson. Thank you.
Max is just excited because I hit a screaming line drive down the third baseline and drove him in the congressional baseball game last week and got 2 RBIs out of it. But hey, thanks for being here today. What you heard Troy and Dave and Max talk about, this speaker understands the importance of our state. He's not only been in our state now for the last 5 days. He started out in Cincinnati and Dayton. He made a stop yesterday and spent some time in Columbus. Today he's in the Mahoning Valley in the Youngstown area. This evening he's going to be in Cleveland. He understands the importance of our state and the value that we bring to the table. And I can't tell you enough, Mr. Speaker, how much we appreciate you being here. He said something a little while ago at lunch about the importance of our delegation. I do believe, as I look around the U.S. House and our conference, I don't think there's a better delegation in the House of Representatives. The Republicans in the House, we stick together, we work together, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and tell you too that we've got some Democrat colleagues that we're able to work with. It's not a one-way street, but we've got a terrific delegation, and part of the reason why Ohio is leading the way in energy independence is because we've got a delegation that understands the value that our state brings to the table. So I appreciate all of that. I too want to say thanks to our hosts today, to Encino Energy, to all the business partners and contractors that are here, especially to the workers that get out here every day. You see them with their hard hats on. You better believe it. Give them a round of applause. Some of them sitting out here in the audience. It doesn't happen without these people working hard every single day. So with that, let me kind of close it out and say thanks again for being here. Honored to be here with our speaker, and I think we'll open it up now for a couple of questions, a few questions if the media has any.
Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, I'm Speaker McCarthy. I'm Robert Wang at the Canton Repository over in Stark County. Congressman Johnson represents part of Stark County. The air quality index here is, I think it's around 220, considered very unhealthy. There are those, they've been reporting that the fires in Canada that's sending the smoke here, that's basically been caused by
That they're wrong? It's caused by not managing your forest. I'll give you an example. That same policy they have there, they have in liberal California. In California, we have a giant sequoia. It's the only place in the world a giant sequoia grows. It's an iconic tree. They live for 2,500 years, longer than Christ. In history, the only time we really have a giant sequoia dying from a fire was like in 1490 or something. But in the last 3 years, we've lost 30% of our giant sequoias because they won't go in and manage the forest. We have a bill on the floor, save our giant sequoias. All you have to do is go in, get rid of the underbrush, the fuel that can build these fires too fast, too soon, put in the fire breaks in the roads. The amount of emissions that is going to cause by this fire is going to harm our environment much more than almost anything we do. Thankfully, we're going to have more natural gas that we can use to lower our emissions. And our ability, if we keep the trees, half of it will be stored in there. It is the Earth's lungs. They take in carbon and oxygen. They release the oxygen, they store the carbon. We need to manage our forests better so our environment can be stronger. If we planted 1 trillion trees, we would take 2/3 of all the emissions created from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution till today. So let's manage our forests, let's plant better trees, make environmentally sound, let's replace Russian natural gas with American natural gas, and let's not only have a cleaner world, let's have a safer world. And the more that we're able to do that in Ohio, you'll save American manufacturing, you'll bring more jobs here, and you'll have a brighter future for the children and the grandchildren of everybody in this country. So thank you for your question.
You're encouraging Canada to have better forest management? Is that...
Well, I tell you, I'll encourage them to have it, but I'll encourage America to have it, and we as lawmakers are going to pass it so we can actually save our giant sequoias and save our forests. I live in California. I see these forest fires quite often. I see them become worse. Why? Because we haven't managed the forest well. We haven't taken the fuel down. We haven't put the blocks in, the brakes. Because they have, during an administration under Clinton, they had a roadless. Well, that takes away the fire breaks when a fire breaks out that you can't come in and burn back from it so it doesn't get out of control. We find in another country a fire's going on, but we're breathing in the challenge from it. So thank you for your question. Next
Anybody
question.
else got a question?
Yes, sir.
Speaker McCarthy, NBC Youngstown. It's a bit off topic, so I hope you don't mind. The Mahoning Valley Churches Association came out with a call to membership to put pressure on all elected officials to support tighter restrictions on assault weapons in response to increases in deadly violence among young people. What would be your response to these churches?
Well, the one thing I would say with the churches, I don't know what the laws are in Ohio, but I do know what they are in California. I do know what they are in Illinois and Chicago. And I've watched them continue to get out of control. You can't take away from a law-abiding citizen the ability for them to protect themselves. What I do know happens with the liberals saying defunding of the police and others, that our streets have no longer become safe. I do know from the fact that people who break the law and not being prosecuted and having no ability, when you look at New York where they don't have to even have bail, when you look at these no consequences for their actions, it perpetuates itself more. I know those are not all the answers to the problems. I know there's mental health questions and how can we identify those, and we continue to work every day to try to solve this problem. So I'll continue to work with those churches and others who ever want to solve the problem and really look at the real problem along what causes it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
With the current path that we're on, how long till we can become energy independent again with everything you guys have accomplished so far?
If we were able to put the rest of H.R. 1 into law, I believe we could be back to where we were in 2019 in the next 3 years. But we don't just want to be energy independent, we want to be dominant. We want to be able to sell this to other countries so we don't have another Ukraine, so they don't create another Putin. We want to be able to have adversaries be reliant upon our natural gas so they don't feel aggressive that they have to take other countries. We want them to be beholden and work upon, because there'll be more jobs in America, but there'll be more manufacturing jobs in America when we lower our energy cost. And that determines the future.
What do we do to help you accomplish these goals? Because I think everybody on this well pad would all...
I think it doesn't matter based upon party. If you advocate for your industry about H.R. 1 in the Senate, that would go a long way into the president. We don't have to name it a certain economics. We just have to say America first, and it's going to make America stronger. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
Thanks for coming out, everybody.